Good evening, everyone. Now we'll be starting with the text. Margie even wrote about it that night in her diary on the page headed 17th of May 2157. She wrote, "Today Tommy found a real book. It was a very old book. Margie's grandfather once said that when he was a little boy, his grandfather told him that there was a time when all his stories were printed on paper." So now Margie has mentioned this special incident when they have got the book in her diary. It's a habit of some people to write everything in the diary so that they can have a memory of it. So Margie is also in a habit of writing diary, and the date which she is writing on the top of the her diary entry, the date is 17th of May 2157. So she has written the entire incident in her diary, and the date which she has mentioned is 17th of May 2157. So she writes that today Tommy found a real book. It was a very old book. So it's not an e-book which she is seeing on the screen, but it is a real book which she is able to experience and feel it in her hands. And it was a very old book. And now Margie's grandfather once said that when his grandfather was a little boy, then his grandfather told him about the live schools which we are experiencing in 2024. At that time there were no e-books. Right now we are having all the printed books. In the same way, Margie also writes in a diary that she has got a book which was a printed book. It was not an e-book, it was a printed book. They turned the pages which were yellow and crinkly, and it was awfully funny to read words that stood still instead of moving the way they were supposed to on a screen. So Margie is in a habit of reading the books on the screen where the letters are intact and they move up and down. When you are finished with one page, then you move on to the next page, and then you're not able to get the words of the previous page because the screen moves on, the cursor moves up and down. But when you read from a printed handmade paper book, then the alphabets are intact on that particular book, and whenever you turn the pages, the words will be fixed. It won't be like cursoring up and down. So there's a difference shown between the e-book and the handmade book that is made of papers. So she thought that it must be so funny that the letters are still intact in the papers, not like us. We are reading from e-books where the letters are never intact, because as the cursor moves up and down, even the alphabet seems to move up and down. And then when they turned back to the page before, it had the same words on it that it had when they read it the first time. So as it normally happens, when we turn the page of a book, the letters of the previous book page is the same. Whether we turn it after 1 hour, 2 hour, the letters will be intact on that particular page only. So she is wondering of the time when people or students were reading from the printed paper books and not from the e-books. "Gee," said Tommy, "what a waste. When you are through with the book, you just throw it away, I guess. Our television screen must have had a million books on it, and it's good for plenty more." "I wouldn't throw it away. Same with mine," said Margie. Now Tommy says that after it's such a waste, and he thinks that when Margie will be thorough with the book, she should throw it away, because he feels that our e-books are better than these printed books, because in internet screen we have ample amount of books stored there, and we can have them on click. Just with a click we can have access to multiple books, not like these printed papers. But she says that "I wouldn't throw it away," said Margie, and Margie is also of the same view, that she will not also throw it away. Rather, she would be interested in knowing the facts mentioned in that book. She was 11 and hadn't seen as many telebooks as Tommy had. So there's a age difference between Margie and Tommy. Margie is 11 years old and Tommy is 13 years old. So Tommy has more experience as compared to Margie. She has not seen as many telebooks as compared to Tommy because of the age difference, as Tommy is elder to Margie. She said, "Where did you find it? In my house?" He pointed without looking because he was busy reading. "In the attic." "What is about school?" So, after seeing the book, the next question Margie asked Tommy is, "From where did you find the book?" So, he says that I found it in the attic, a storeroom. Next question she asks is, "What is the book about?" So, Tommy tells him that the book is about school. Margie was scornful. "School? What's there to write about school? I hate school." Because she is in the virtual classroom time. So she says that what is there to be written about the school, and I hate school. So I don't think there's any something interesting that is to be written about the topic school. Margie always hated school, but now she hated it more than ever. The mechanical teacher had been giving her test after test in geography, and she had been doing worse and worse until her mother had shaken her head sorrowfully and sent for the county inspector. So nowadays, she is not even liking school even more because her mechanical teacher is giving her test after test in geography, and she is not able to secure good marks in geography. Though she is hating the fact when the school is mentioned, because she is not at all liking the school because of a poor performance in the geography test by her mechanical teacher. And with her bad performance, her mother is so depressed that she asks for the county inspector to come and check the mechanical teacher. She feels that might be there is a issue with the mechanical teacher, and therefore she asks the county inspector to come and repair and check the mechanical teacher, because it's an electronic device and it gets issues then and now. So she is thinking of, she rather calls county inspector so that the mechanical teacher can be repaired. Now it is described the appearance of that county inspector. He was a round little man with a red face and a whole box of tools with dials and wires. He smiled at Margie and gave her an apple, then took the teacher apart. So now it's told to us that the appearance of the county inspector, that he was a round little man with a red face and a whole box of tools with dials and wires, because he has come to repair the mechanical teacher. So along with him is carrying a box that is full of tools and wires. And once he is inside the house, he smiled at Margie, and in return he gave an apple to Margie. And after handing the apple to Margie, he takes away the mechanical teacher with him. Margie had hoped that he wouldn't know how to put it together again, but he knew how all right, and after an hour or so, there it was again, large and black and ugly, with a big screen on which all the lessons were shown and the questions were asked. So, meanwhile, when the mechanical teacher was taken, Margie was feeling very relaxed, and she thought that I just wish the teacher has gone for a longer period of time. But as the mechanical teacher was, as county inspector was, expert in repairing mechanical teachers, because he is specialized in that field, so in an hour he brings back the mechanical teacher, and that mechanical teacher is again ready with all the lessons. The part Maggie hated almost was the slot where she had to put homework and test papers. She always had to write them out in a punch code they made her learn when she was 6 years old, and the mechanical teacher calculated the marks in no time. Now, again, there is a difference. In today's time, when the students are going to schools, they are doing the homeworks in their copies. They have tests assigned to them, they write the test and they submit it to the teachers, then teachers take their time out, correct the copies, and they give it back to the students. So this takes time. But the era in which Margie is living, she hates, because she has to complete her test assignments, and there's a slot in which she has to put her test papers and homework, and within no time the teacher calculates the test and homework assignments, because it is an AI teacher, robotic teacher, and in no time she calculates the mark. So this part is hated by Margie. She doesn't like when she has to complete her homework, her test papers, and she has to put put them back in the slot assigned to her, and within no seconds, within no time, the teacher is done with the calculation and the test is calculated. So this part was hated by Margie. The inspector had smiled after he was finished and patted Margie's head. He said to her mother, "It's not the little girl's fault, Mrs. Jones. I think the geography sector was geared a little too quick. Those things happen sometimes. I have slowed it up to an average 10-year level. Actually, the overall pattern of her progress is quite satisfactory." So, after bringing the mechanical teacher back, the county inspector smiled, and when he has finished, he patted Margie's head. And then he tells her mother that it was not the girl's fault, rather there was some issue with the mechanical teacher. Geography sector has geared up little too quick. मतलब the average, the level was not of the 10-year, was not matching the Margie's mental skill. That is why she was not able to perform well. And he tells her mother that now he has repaired the mechanical teacher, and now he has set the mechanical teacher's skill up to a 10-year-old level. Now she will be easily able to do the work assigned to her by the mechanical teacher, because now it will be of her level. And overall the performance of the girl is quite satisfactory for just the fault of the mechanical teacher. And he patted Margie's head again. Margie was disappointed. Now Margie is not at all happy, because she was in the hope that now the mechanical teacher will be away for some days, and for some days she won't have to study. But to her disappointment, the mechanical teacher was brought back in just an hour, and now she again has to follow her routine of doing the homework, completing her test, putting them in the slots, and taking the regular lessons from that mechanical teacher. So with this fact, she is very disappointed. Tommy's teacher They had once taken Tommy's teacher away for nearly a month because the history sector had blanked out completely. So she said to Tommy, "Why would anyone write about a school?" She remembered a time when Tommy's teacher had a problem and her teacher was taken for a month, because county inspector took almost a month to repair the mechanical teacher of Tommy, as her history section was completely blanked out. Everything was erased. So, to set her function again, it took them nearly 1 month. But Margie's teacher was brought back in just an hour, so she was disappointed. Now she asked Tommy that why would anyone write about a school? What is so interesting about a school? Why anyone will write about school? So the question she inquires from Tommy is this.